Welcome back. I'm here with Luka. Luka is in the fitness industry like me, and he runs a phenomenal gym. Big influencer guy too, but runs a phenomenal gym day in and day out in Seattle. And one of the things that I've always loved about him is how much he incorporates charity in what he does. And he's told me time and time again that the charity boot camps that they run every Saturday are the best lead generators that they run at the gym. So we're going to be talking about the charity boot camp kind of as a roadmap of how to design a really fantastic charity event to be able to generate leads and give back to your community. But this isn't just about like a fitness boot camp. And you'll see that as we get
Yeah.
into it. Tell me a little bit about how this came about, though, Luka. Like, when did you've been doing this for so long, you may not remember, but like, why did you decide to do the first one? How this start?
Oh, I remember. You always remember
Okay.
the first one. I think I think the story of the first one is interesting because that's what led us to like a weekly format, which was kind of
Right.
different. And for anybody that listens to it, I think that you got to get out of the mindset of like, oh my God, I got to do it every week. You don't have to, right? You can do it monthly, bi-monthly. We can talk about all of that, but I was running basically what I was doing is I was still training out of another big box gym that was further away. Started my own garage gym, so this is pretty much going on about 15 years.
I was gonna
And
say, how long ago was this? Okay, 15 years ago.
yeah, this was 15 years ago, and we were doing classes, so I was coaching semi-privates, but I was having classes morning, evening, at Monday through Friday, nothing on the
Okay.
weekends.
Right.
And it had, at that point in time, people were like, man, like, what about Saturdays? Saturday mornings is a popular time for training, by the way. It's like people love doing that time, and we didn't have anything. And at that point in time, my uncle had just passed away with cancer. Cancer has been a thing that has been prevailing in my family. So I was very, let's just say, I was still emotional about it. And I just read through the book, The Go Giver. So
Okay.
So I'm reading through the book, The Go Giver, and I'm, was really into kind of reading philanthropical stuff from Richard Branson about what he was doing, and this kept coming up for like a couple of weeks. It's like, man, it'd be great if we had Saturdays. We had Saturdays. So what I wanted to do was like not commit to it, and I said, look, we're gonna do this a charity boot camp for Seattle Cancer Alliance, 9 a.m. $10 drop it. Now, by the way, at this point in time, it's not like my gym is huge and packed and super known or anything like that. So that first Saturday we ended up having 6 people. So it's not
Okay.
this massive turnout that you tell this story and we had 150 people show up. No, we had 6 people show up, and raised about $100. And I felt really good. I mean, the thing is like I actually felt really good writing this check, and sending it in.
Hmm.
But what happened at the end of it was like, oh man, it was great. What about next Saturday? And literally
Right.
on the spot, I was like, yeah, next Saturday is charity boot camp again. And, it was, and basically they're like, oh, cool, awesome. And that's how it began. And basically what happened is that class just got added on the schedule. And what we did is we ended up going, well, it's $10 minimum for anybody to come, but
Right.
it's also for non-members. So it became basically the drop-in class to test out. It became the drop-in class for, people to bring their
Cool.
friends. And now, and what the thing about it is that when people are like, hey, come do this charity boot camp with me, it's just a $10 drop-in. The barrier to entry just goes down, and people are like, oh, I'm doing it for a good cause. It created a automatic kind of like front
It
end
gives a
offer that was
reason to
different.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives a
And
reason to do it. What I love about what you said there right off the bat is you had this idea to do this thing. You're like, all right, we're gonna do it this Saturday. You didn't commit to it. You didn't overplan it. What happened was that you just you did the thing. You showed up, and then over time you allowed it to evolve and to see
yes,
what it turned into. But you
because
also
what
realized, go on.
No, I was gonna say because the steps. Notice there wasn't a lot of steps in that one, right?
Yeah,
We're gonna go over like a lot of depth on like this is how to do it now, so you'll have the cheat code. But what you said is very very important, right? If you get in your head and go like, well, I don't really have a big base yet, and I don't know who to do it. There's a lot of stories that you can tell yourself not to start, and 6 people in a charity boot camp class isn't. It can sound like not a lot, and I think this is really really important because we ended up getting to a point where just a regular, like I'm talking about, we don't even promote something big or whatever. We were having 40 to 50 per Saturday, and that was just like baseline. That's how
But
popular they
even
got.
the six people,
Correct.
you still wrote $100 check to charity.
Exactly.
And what you said is, I've never felt so good writing a check. I think about the value of money a lot, and I've listened to your long podcast about money, which was very, very good. So I know that we kind of think a similar way. But I think about the value of money a lot. I think about how money is not objectively worth the same based off of how you use it. Like a dollar
Hmm.
is a dollar
Yeah.
is a dollar, of course, but a dollar can be used in very different ways and have different amounts of value. I remember when I was planning this event that you're a part of right now, it's going to be like 30 speakers and something. And I don't know how much money it will raise. But the person who's helping me organize it behind the scenes kind of said, oh, you could make like, 10, 15, 20, like even $30,000 with an event like that. And I said, okay, cool. What if we just give it all to charity? What if I pay 100% of the expenses and give it all to charity? Because to me, 10 or 15 or even $30,000, like the value that I'm going to get with that added to my bank account versus the
Mm.
value in improving the quality event, because some of the speakers I brought on might not have said yes if it was just going straight to my bank account. Like this is something that John's doing for John versus, hey,
True. Very
this is
true.
supporting the Tyler Robinson Foundation that provides financial support for families that have a case of pediatric cancer. And so what's the value of that money? One thing to the next, I think, is a very important question to ask, because to me, it's a long-term question now. Right? You're not thinking short-term money, you're thinking long-term. I want to talk about designing the thing,
Hmm.
Luca, because this is where your brilliance comes in. But I do think that it's important beforehand to give yet another corollary of you don't need to do all these things before you start.
Yes.
So we're going to hit you with a lot of stuff, but you don't need to do it when you start. The best thing about what you do is the marketing is largely baked into the design of your program. So step one is, if you're going to do it, do it. Commit to doing it really, really well. Tell me about that a little bit.
So I always think about it like if I'm going to I just came from a wedding, so I'll take the wedding as an example, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, you do a
You were at
wedding.
Ben's wedding, weren't you?
Yeah,
Was
I
it
was at
Ben's?
Ben's wedding. It
That's
was excellent.
awesome.
It was awesome.
That's awesome.
And it's going to be like you're going to be like, holy shit, we're going to make this great, right? We're going to make it excellent. You wouldn't go like, let's start organizing this about a week ahead. Flowers,
Right.
whatever, man. You pick them, right? I mean, it'd be very strategic, something that's important, something that matters. And so I think it starts there that you go like, you know what, like let's make this a FOMO event, right? Where people have a fear of missing out. It's you know, like a block party where people are like, are you going to that event? You're not going? Damn,
Yeah,
like
right.
it's gonna have all these things, and we're gonna have a DJ and so on and so. Like you want to make it that. Now to make it that, you can't mess around and do a last minute, right? You can't
Yeah.
not organize it and structure. And anybody has ran a bigger event knows too that it's a lot of moving parts. But if you do commit to it and all go all in and prepare for it and plan for it, you're just gonna, it's gonna be exponential, like what you get out of it, both financially for
Yeah.
what you can, the money that you can give away, but also the experience and the positioning of your gym, your coaching, what people will come in and go like, whoa, what is this? So for anybody that's going to be there for the first time, that's not a current member, right? And even current members, they'll be like, holy, like this is an amazing event. So you do have
This is
to,
an introduction.
yes, exactly. You're essentially, for some people making a first impression, and the first impression can be like, wow, right? Wow on multiple
Yeah.
fronts. And so I think this is important because I've helped a lot of people do this, and I've seen kind of like all right, we'll put it on. I've seen the result of
Yeah.
that versus like we're gonna do this, and they start like 6 weeks out.
So here's the parallel to me is you can't do that many things, can you? Whatever it is, right? Whether we're talking charity events, whether we're talking something else, you can't do that many things. And so if you decide to do something, you fucking do that thing. And it's fine if you don't decide to do that thing, but if you decide to do something, this is what you're doing right now. This might not be what you do in the future. You don't know what this is going to turn into. All those things are fine, but this is what you do right now. And you don't need to necessarily make the best choice of what to do. You just need to make a
Hmm.
choice, execute on it, see where the chips fall, decide whether this is something you want to continue with. Okay, how do you decide what charity and then talk about some of the legal responsibilities of earning money for them?
So
Because it's not as straightforward as just saying, like, even using the logo of a charity, sometimes you have to get permission to
yeah,
do it.
so there's definitely a bunch of stuff around that, and I'll even say when it comes to the word charity, we started sending
Yeah,
boot camps for a cause, or team training for a cause, and it might seem like little things, but I talk to my accountant and you start talking to lawyers and things about, like, because we're not a nonprofit organization, right? So basically, what we're doing is we're charging for
yeah.
the service, and then we just choose to give all that money away, right?
So you can say in support of, you can
Correct.
say that type of thing, but you can't make it sound like you
Yes,
are the
exactly.
charity,
And it's
is what
good
you're
to
saying.
also, like, if you are working with charitable organizations, to ask them, right? Because obviously they know, they pretty much
Yes.
are dialed in with this. And I've said that before. Say, hey, look, is there anything that I can't say, shouldn't say, ought not to say? Because I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, and I want to make sure that you guys get the best benefit out of this. But there were also, cross T's, dotted I's. And they will usually go like, oh
Yep.
yeah, for sure, do this, don't do that.
Oh, and they'll want to
100,
support you too.
100%.
So I got in touch with this foundation as well, because the way that it came about to choose this foundation was a friend of mine's daughter got diagnosed with brain cancer, and it was, I mean, it was messed up, dude. Like, she was at dinner, 5-year-old girl, right? She's at dinner, said she had a headache. They ended up taking her to the hospital. Within 48
Oh
hours,
man,
she's in
that's
surgery
crazy.
with a brain tumor. Like, just every
Yeah.
family's worst nightmare. And 9 months later, 6 rounds of chemo, things are hopeful, but it's a year of this child's life, but also for the family. And this is what nobody talks about. So I asked my friend, I said, is there a foundation, a charity, a hospital that you really want to support? Because I've seen them go through this. And she, mentioned this Tyler Robinson Foundation and how helpful it was, because she said, cancer hospitals and research is very, very important. But what a lot of people don't talk about is the debt that families have to go into. Like, my friend couldn't work for a year because she was looking after her daughter, and the debt that the family goes into. So this foundation helps with things like
Mm.
mortgage payments and grocery bills and transportation costs and things like that. So I reached out to the foundation. I've had conversations with a bunch of their head people, and they're ecstatic, of course, right? And they're talking about getting their media team involved and all of this stuff. It's There's a lot of
Oh yes.
benefits to being in touch with them, in addition to just asking permission to say, hey, what can I use or not use, or
And
say
a
or
couple of
not
points
say?
to that, going back to, like, what you basically kind of answered the question. How do you pick the foundation? Well, I mean, for me, it was like I started with
Yeah,
something that was close to my heart, right? It was like things that I was like, oh man, you know what, this
yeah,
matters to me. But I also didn't know a lot about, I mean, much, to be honest, about charity and organizations and legal stuff. And some of them that are bigger are much harder to work with. And let me explain what that means, right? Like, for example, Make a Wish
okay.
Foundation is so big that they won't even take donations that are smaller. I mean, I'm talking about smaller in the thousands.
Oh,
Like,
really?
and you don't know where it's going to go. Or for example, we did one time that we did a charity event for Seattle Children's, but it was for a specific department that we wanted to do it. It was kids with cerebral palsy, and we literally were going to raise money to build a climbing wall, because there's tons of research and studies that show that it really helps them build movement patterns and actually help them cognitively. But the thing is so, and there was a lady that trained here at Vigor Ground that was, part of Seattle Children's, and said, yes, but look, here's the deal. If you send a check to Seattle Children's,
Okay.
it just goes into this pool,
Yeah.
and you don't know where it's going to go. It's just random. It might be spent for admin, so we had to go through a lot of steps, call departments, get specific codes to go, this is the department it's for, and this is the thing it's for. And then we had to get confirmation that that was going to be used for. And we did. We raised
Mm.
$5,000 in a charity boot camp and bought this wall. And that was super cool because it was specific. Now, but I say this to say that it's easy to just pick a big organization and, you write a
Yeah.
check, and you feel good, but it might not go where you actually want it to go. So we started, obviously researching a little bit. We started going smaller because I'll tell you what, if you go smaller organizations, and the one that you mentioned, I don't know how big or small that they are, but man, when you pick up the phone and you go like, hey, I'm Luka from Vigor Ground, and we do charity events, so we'd love to run a charity event and then give you all the money from it. Would you be interested in that? And it's just like, I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, yeah, it's a,
It's not a hard sell.
oh, hell yeah, like,
Yeah.
and so
But I hear you because I made a big. I had a cousin who worked with one of the big charities, and she did corporate donors, and so to support her and also to support the charity, I sent a big check. Can't remember what it was, 25, 30, 40,000, something like that. And like, I think maybe I got a thank you, in an
generic
email,
letter.
and it was nothing. There was no a generic letter, no follow up, no nothing, and it just so much about it didn't feel good. I think what you're hitting at is the more specific the story, the better. And it's okay if it's personal to
Yeah,
you, almost better, because then you can tell a story about it. And the more specific the cause, and specifically the vividness, like in your case, we are doing this to be able to buy a climbing wall for this department at this hospital for that reason. People can
yeah,
rally behind that in a different way than people can rally behind we're doing this for charity.
yeah. It's
It's a
correct.
very
Specific.
different
I mean,
conversation,
specific
isn't it?
in examples. I mean, we just did one for Happy Bundles, which was a big one. Actually, I was away, and one of my coaches organized. It was awesome. Which I want to go into later because we're doing some stuff now where
Okay.
we bring other small business vendors in, and it's been amazing. And we raised like it was like over 3 grand. But then somebody came in from the Seattle Seawolves Rugby Club and wrote a $20,000 check, and ended up being
Cool.
raising almost $24,000, and so it was amazing. But again, it
Yeah.
was Happy Bundles. They help families with children that have cancer, with again support, toys, everything else, and it was very very specific. And one of the wives of one of the players runs it, and she does an amazing job. They do an amazing job with it. But again, going back to,
Okay.
it's very specific when you tell a story and you give an example, and like the example of the kids that we're helping. And I do think people connect. You know, I'm not saying that we've done 100% of it locally, but I will say like probably 75% of it, where it's people that I can go down the street, shake hands, see them. Like I know that I'm making a local impact,
Right.
and it's also stays in the community. What I mean by that is, those are the folks that go like, hey, like, I mean, I've forgotten how many people and organizations we've done. I mean, it's hundreds at this point in time, but it's like you have
Right.
this connection point where people are like, no, like this person is involved in the community like all the time. Like they're not just putting a post on Instagram up, like they're doing stuff. We've raised, it hasn't always been money. It's been,
Says a lot.
we've done it for the families that go homeless, and like they're always collecting. There's an organization here that collects pretty much things like toothbrushes, soap, stuff like that, like the basics. And we just have campaigns where we'd raise that. We've raised thousands of toys, for kids that don't get them for Christmas. I mean, on and
Right.
on and on it goes. But the point is that ideally local, something that matters. And here's what's super cool: when you start doing the charity events, and this is like a member will come in and go like, hey Luka, like, so I'm part of, and they tell you the organization, and like this is what we do, and it's really close to my heart, and I'd love if we could do something. And I mean, pretty much I've never said no. Worst case scenario, I'm like, hey, we can't do it right now, it'll be further down the line, but hey, let me write you a check, let me help out, let me do something. People start becoming, because if we got a couple hundred members. Out of those 200 members, tons of people are involved in charity organizations. They've had some type of trauma, or cancer in the family, or this, that, the other, and they're involved. And so what better way to connect with that
Yeah.
member and client and do something that matters to them, I mean, it's the best thing in the world, you know. So we started doing a lot of those.
There's so much lip service. Yeah, there's so much lip service to community, but what you're talking about is real community. But I mean, going back to the specificity, and then I want to talk about actually planning the program. But going back to the specificity, I mean, this is a quirk of human behavior. This is a human bias. It's well documented, right? One person, you know, whatever, dying in a car accident is a story. 100 people dying in a train
Hmm.
accident is a statistic. And it logically a bigger tragedy, a bigger problem, encapsulating more things in the conversation should be more meaningful. But our brains can't comprehend that. The better you can tell a story about one specific thing or person or idea, the more people can connect and rally around that. Let's get on to the program, because one of the things that I know you're a proponent of with these is you're not marketing at these events, but you are gathering
Yep.
information of people who attend them and then following up. So let's talk about how you approach that, because I can just feel people listening to this kind of like sitting forward, shoulders are up by their ears, like, yeah, but I like kind of feel skeezy a little bit, like using charity to build my business. How do you
I think
navigate
it's a
that?
frame. I mean, I think it's a frame and a belief system, right? Put it this way: if you can knock out, like I've always felt like, what is the greatest way to, you know, to give back? So everybody has a skill set. For me, it's coaching, right? It's helping people transform. And so, okay, I'm going to use that skill
Right.
set to raise money for somebody that can't do it for themselves, or for somebody in need that I can now help. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what? So how many whammies are happening here? You know what I mean, like I'm using my gift, right? Like I'm using my gift to deliver a service, and I actually am doing it for free. But all I'm asking is like, hey, can you donate so that we can give it to somebody else, right? And to like, there's apps. If there's zero bad feeling around how you're doing it. Now we have to understand, like, why do, you know, most nonprofits go out of business? Well, because, and I said out of business because they are a business. Like they have to raise money, they have to
Yeah.
pay their people, right? And so when you think about it that way and you go, well, if you have that mentality, then you actually can't help people in need, because that's why nonprofits go out of business, because they don't know how to run organizations well. So, you
Right.
know, whether it's me collecting a list of people that we can communicate with when they come to the charity event, that's smart, because now I can, you know, send out an email and be like, hey, a couple months ago you were at this event, thanks so much. You know, we do a follow up afterwards, but and we raised this much. We got another one
Mm-hmm.
coming up for this organization. And you know, if by the way, if you come back in, you get a free smoothie at Fit Bar, for example, right? Like, so now I can bring those
Right.
folks back in. I can include other businesses, like they get a benefit.
Gives you a really
Absolutely.
nice
And
way to
so, you
follow
know,
up.
again, it's also good. I mean, you can follow
Yeah.
up also for your business, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, because we give, not always, but we've given quite when we have the bigger events. You know, we'll send people an offer the week after they did a charity event. Like,
Yep. Yeah. So you
yep,
collect their name, their email. You'll get them. You'll make
yep.
sure that you have a checkbox that where you have permission to contact them, and then you'll follow up to them. So we're going to get to that. Talk about how you make it special. Talk about how you hype it up. Talk about how you make it different. You do such fun stuff and doing things to get people to talk about it and make the event
It's
something
an
that
event. Yeah, I mean,
is
the
an
thing is, I
event.
always just think about it like as it being a party. By the way, anytime you tell people a DJ is going to be there, it just
Yeah.
changes everything. So I found that, like, out of DJ, yes.
Yeah.
The
So you
bigger
bring a
ones, we
DJ, right?
always bring a DJ. And it's honestly that and the raffle are the two biggest things. But like, I'll break down like what we found a raffle.
What was the second
So
one?
yeah, so you know, and what's
A
cool
raffle.
about
A raffle. Okay.
raffles is that, you know, you're raising a bunch more money. So you have your drop in, right? So people, it's like, hey, minimum donations. Now a lot of times we'll do 20, but you know, there's like, when people care about the charity event, like people are coming in and dropping multiple $100 checks, thousand. I mean, like, you know, folks that really care about that organization. So you can raise a bunch for that. But then what we do is we'll announce, we're like, hey, we're gonna have a live DJ. That definitely like gets people in. and makes them be like, damn, I don't want to miss out on this one. But then we'll have raffles, and raffles will start going to.
Yeah.
Now, this is cool for anybody that's listening because you got a network, right? So going to local businesses, okay, massage, massage therapy, okay, cool, 2 hour long massages, value $150, cool. You go to the Bragg hair salon, it's like, $300 hair usually for women, cool, we're going to give you that for the raffle, awesome. Whistle Stop Ale House, okay, cool, $100 gift card, right? But then it's like I train a bunch of NFL players, so now we can get jerseys signed, we can get game tickets. We can get, hey, we can
Right.
get, we can get you on the field. We had somebody that worked for promotions and got tickets for Beyonce and Jay Z, like the on the road was it on the run tour too. Some incredible tickets. Yes, it's amazing. Yeah, I went too. Like
I
we
went to that
that
show.
was in Seattle. It was great. And but those
It
those
was a good
tickets were
show.
like $700 a pop, and we had two,
Yeah.
right? And so now you got a
Right.
raffle. It's bringing people together.
Bringing
It's
people
involving the
together.
community. Again,
Yeah.
you'll see this theme, right? I'm big on like how can we get the community involved, and it exposes them because people are going to go there. They're going to use that service. But now, through the raffle, and we would do like, for instance, raffle tickets are like, for instance, $5 a ticket. But people will go like, well, I'll buy 10, and we do the raffle. So now you're raising hundreds,
Mm.
thousands sometimes through the raffles, but people are getting incredible prizes. And we've had like, I mean, you name it, like Beats by Dre donate and sneakers, and I mean, and obviously sometimes I'll even just go out of pocket and buy stuff, right? So because when you literally go
Hmm.
and you start promoting and you go like, we got prizes such as, like Jay-Z, Beyonce tickets, get on the field with the Seahawks, and people are like, oh shit, like that's that FOMO, right? That's the FOMO, the
Yeah.
fear of missing out, that people are definitely like, whoa, I got to be there, and then you get the word of mouth, the buzz, and I'm pretty sure that you were the person that mentioned this, that I bring this stat up pretty often, right? The most referrals happen. I think it's like 93% of referrals happen offline. Um, and so it's the same thing here.
Oh
The
yeah.
member goes like, "Yo, you got to come to this event with me." It goes to three, four friends, and then one of those friends goes like, "Is it cool if I bring another?" And that's how we've had these, events where we have 160, 170 people training at the same time, and it's absolutely insane. And what happens with that, and I know we'll get back to this, is that you talk about social proof, right? Social proof, it's like a restaurant or a club. You got two restaurants side to side, and one looks really nice, it's pretty busy, and another one doesn't even look that nice, but there's a line out the door around the block. You're just like, well, shit, like I want to go to that one, right? So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
look at these when we do these charity events. There's so many people that the new people that come in, they go like, whoa, what is going on here? And it's just like, I got a mic, I'm
Yeah.
like Funk Master Flex, and I'm like, DJ, drop the beat. And it's just like, whoa, what's going on? This is insanity.
It's a different kind of experience, isn't it? But you're bringing the community together and you're being the person to do that. There's so much value in, hey, rising tide lifts all boats. Like we've become so obsessed with superficial things. I feel like these days we've become so obsessed with stories that are nice stories to tell, that are in your face. I think actually the best place to be in business is to be one of those success stories you'd never hear about otherwise, because it happens on a smaller yet very often more meaningful scale, and it's much more reliable as a result, isn't it? Like what you're talking about, I mean, anybody listening to this is shaking their head. They're like, yeah, no shit, like that can't fail. Like there's literally no way for this not to work. I don't think you can say that if I were to tell you right now, here's the best way to make a thumbnail for your 8-second video where you're trying to instruct a
Yep.
squat, matching it with, some trending music on the internet, and then question mark, question mark, question mark, get customers. Like, I don't think I don't think you'd be looking at that and you'd be like, I know exactly how this works, and I know there is no way for this not to work. Whereas what you're saying, it's not sexy, right? You're not going to see this plastered all over social media, but you're talking about supporting other small local businesses in ways that they're not leading the way, but you are. So now you're going to be the center of this community. You're doing it for a cause that is meaningful for somebody in your community, which, like, that person's never leaving, by the way, and they're going to be your most outspoken proponent of what you do. And it's
And
it's routine.
I always thought about it too, like
Like the
in
steps
this
are there.
perspective. I
It's
mean, look,
great.
I'm a fan of social media and marketing and like, using it the right way. But, I even do a presentation where I started off with, okay, like, tomorrow, I don't know, there's an EMP or whatever, like and all the phones and all, like, basically you can't get on the internet and you can't use social and you can't run ads. What happens to your brick and mortar business? And I'm like,
Yeah.
these are the things that would not just help your brick and mortar business, survive, but thrive. Where it's like everybody in the local community is go like, shit, I don't need it. I know where to go. Like we go to Vigor, it's like, and you're doing these kind of boots on the ground, I don't know, people call it guerrilla marketing, but I don't even like that word. I just call it community marketing, right? Like, and the thing is, what's so cool about this, by the way, so cool about this is that and we can kind of talk about like the idea generation out of this just one simple kind of philosophy around charity boot camps, right? That stuff that I'm testing now. End of September, we're doing something I think that's really cool. That's basically for small business, right? And it's like you can. There's so many derivatives of this that
Okay.
you can do once you start getting creative ideas. Like whether it's like, okay, now we're going to do scholarships, okay, a percentage of our memberships, or we're going to run this challenge, and like this whole challenge, we're going to take all the money, and guess what we're going to do? We're going to sponsor it so that we get the youth that can't afford it to start training them, right? Like you can start going down a rabbit hole of this, and it's awesome
Mm,
because you can create front end offers that actually make money so
yeah.
that you can now either give that money away, use it for scholarships, use it for something positive. And again, multiple whammies at the same time. You feel amazing, good for the business, good for the community. I know I veered off there a little bit, but it's that's my philosophy, right? It's like
It's
that.
great, man.
Hey, I'm gonna try to use as much as I can of all these amazing tools and softwares and tech that we have. But at the foundational level, if all of them go away, like we'll be more than fine.
I like thought experiments like that a lot. And what you are talking about there is something that I love to do, which is assume
Mm-hmm.
constraints in order to get your brain thinking a different way. One of my favorite ones is, if I could never generate a new customer again in my life, what would I do? And it's not saying that I would like actually not try to generate a new customer, but what that forces me to do is think differently about how my business operates and ignore part of it. And yours is another good constraint, right? If I could never generate another customer online through social media again, the reality of it is most people listening to this, even though they use social
Yep, for
media all the
sure.
time, have actually never generated a customer on social media. I mean, I can tell you that from all of the people that we work with in the fitness industry. Is it's like, okay, so every single person comes to me with the same question, right? Hey, I'd really love to know how I can get my content to convert better. Okay, cool. Has it ever converted? No. Okay, so talk to me about like your best customer ever. Where did they come from? Oh, they came from this person or this way or that person. Okay. Have you ever gotten a customer through your content? No. All right, why don't we, instead of focusing on trying to get this thing to work that has quite literally never worked, why don't we instead try to deconstruct this thing that's worked and brought
And
you
do
your best people
yeah.
and optimize it and put more of a focus on it? Because right now you're spending 10 hours a week really frustrated at this thing that's never gotten you any benefit, and you're completely ignoring this other thing that has
It's
always
actually more,
worked and is the
what you're
reason
saying
that
is actually more of a
you're in a
norm than
good
it is an outlier,
position right
unfortunately.
now.
Right? That the people are focusing on, new or creating something, and right under their nose is like their best clients, their best strategies. And it's like, do that more, do that better. And then once you've squeezed the juice out of the
Yeah,
orange, do the new thing maybe.
yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Actually, it's a great book. You know what? I haven't read this in a while. The Constraints of Thinking. I think it was from his book from called Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath, which was excellent. And it talked about like basically blocking out, whatever the obvious
Oh,
choice
okay.
was. See how I use that in the pocket. Whatever the obvious choice was, and have a great name. Whatever the obvious choice was, it's like, yeah, but
Yeah,
you can't
it's
do
a good
that,
name, right? It's a good name.
right? Okay, what about this thing? Yeah, you can't do that either. So now you have to find different
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
and your brain starts, going in that direction, which is what I like. But it's kind of exactly what you're saying is my thought
I
process
love it.
a lot of times around the charity and giving back part. Yep.
Well, and like if every customer had to bring you two new
Hmm.
customers,
Yeah.
how would you design what you do? Right? Because that's, I mean, in the gym world. Well, you were at the same event that I was at with Rachel Cosgrove. She gave a fantastic talk about just, hey, when somebody comes in, here are all of the little things that we do to try to encourage them to bring somebody with them. And about 60% do. And it's like, holy shit, man. If you have 10 people that are going to come into your business and six of them are going to bring another person, well, now you don't have 10, now you have 16. Well, and then the next time, I don't do public math, so I don't know how many it is, but if you stay at that 60%, now you got 16 people coming in. Well, how does that compound? How does that exponentially increase over time? That's probably a pretty important little piece to work on. How do you go? I'm going to take a step back. How do you approach a local business? Somebody
Yep.
you don't know, right? I mean, at this point now you have relationships with everybody, but how do you first approach local business? Let's say, I don't know, a local restaurant. You want them to give you
I
a
mean,
$100 gift card
I
for
mean,
this
obviously,
event that
I
you're
like
doing.
to be
What,
ethical in this
what
sense,
steps do you
but
take?
I usually start going to the places that I personally frequent, or I know that our members frequent, because I'd go there and say like, hey, listen, I go here,
Right.
or like our members go here and they love it, right? So there's already a, like, people go here, we go here, right? And then from yeah, I mean, this is what's cool about
Do
local,
you
man.
ask for
Like,
the manager, or
I would
who do you
definitely
speak
go.
to?
Yeah, yeah, I'm going straight to the, and it's for real. Like, I mean, I can tell you the names of
It's
every
usually the
owner,
owner
like,
who's sitting there.
Bobuna, Ephraim. Like, I mean, I talk to these people, and I did make. I will say this, make a habit. Even now, before, if you ever ran a charity boot camp, like I would go, for a long, long time, legitimately, like for the last 15 years. I know people locally. Like, I'll go to the restaurants, to the coffee shops. I'm always kind of like buying, their stuff. And you'll usually meet them. They're either working. I'll be like, hey, is the owner here? And like, it takes, oh, you know what it takes? Just a little bit to look online and go, who's the owner? Imagine if you're in a coffee shop and it's like the person that's working is like, hey, is Mike here? You don't go, as the owner here.
Yeah, it's not
Is
very
Mike
hard.
here? Oh, Mike, yeah, Mike, he's right here behind the. Oh, awesome. Like, do you mind if I talk
Right.
to him? And just be like, hey, look, I'm Luka. I'm the owner of Big Run Fitness Performance down the street. Man, I love your coffee. You've been coming here for years. Hey, would love to chat with you, and I just want to give you some strategies of what's been working for my business, man. Like, and just, I'm trying to connect with a lot more small business owners. And the amount of people that will say,
Oh,
like, yeah,
that's
I mean, you're
cool.
talking about 8 to 9 out of 10. I mean, seriously, it's so much easier than people think. And
Yeah. I love that
yes,
approach.
and
I
like, I'd
want to
like to
talk to you
share it
about
with
some
you, because,
stuff that's
and
been
I
working
would
for
say
me
it
in
like,
this
hey, I think it's
neighborhood.
really powerful for small business owners to
Yeah.
connect and share stuff like that, right? And people are like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. Okay, great. Let's schedule a 15, 20-minute coffee. And then now I've created that relationship. So that's what I
Hmm.
was doing, right? So you can, I would always track the people I was communicating with, follow up with them later. And it would just be stuff like, hey, how you doing? How's business going? Like, I know we talked about a couple of things. You mentioned this. And that's a skill set and a craft that I think has kind of gone away. And if you do it, man, well, I mean, it can change a serious. It'll sound corny, but it can really, really change your business and life, though, because you
Right.
build this amazing network, and then everybody that in the local community literally will go. The moment if fitness is a thing, oh yeah, you should go there, right? So
Well, that's what I love is what you actually have done there in like business speak is you've built a moat around your business locally. Nobody can open up a gym in your neighborhood once you've done that because all of the coffee shops and restaurants and chiropractors and whoever now like you and are going to recommend you. nobody else can come into that neighborhood and knock you off. That to me is a moat that would be very hard
Okay.
to set aside. I wanna get into promotion of the event before we have to log off because I think that's what everybody wants to hear here. Um, what do you do? You create a Facebook event, you make a flyer, you make a video. Like, what do you do to try to get the word out? Obviously, you
I
tell
mean, that's
your
definitely step
members, but
one.
like, what are
You
the
know,
actual
I would,
assets that
I
you
think
build?
creating a Facebook event, I think is still a good idea, by the way, because it's so fast and easy that I would, and you invite all your members and you invite all the friends
Yeah,
locally. And by the way, that still works, right? It's a very small use of your time and energy, and it can be a pretty high ROI because it's just another reminder for people. So I would do that. But like what we end up doing, we start with going to our members and we'll create a flyer. We'll make a post inside of our own, Facebook group. Because that's honestly your best ROI, right? If we got a couple hundred members, however many people you got, and 50 show up, but like half of them brought a friend, we're already at 75, right? For example. So that's the mentality. And not only do we post that,
right.
let's say we're about, 3 weeks out and we announce it and it's going to be a big event. At the end of every class, it's like it's going to get repetitive. Hey guys, remember August 7th, we got this big event. Don't miss out. It's going to be a crazy one. Raffle. We're going to give this away. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, because we're going to kick their ass too. So, but, it's like nonstop after every class. So that's the thing that people miss. Tell your enemies, hell yeah. It's like bring your enemies too,
Tell
because
your
they'll,
friends,
they'll
tell
get
your
mad at us. But
enemies.
it's that type of thing, because now it's like by the time the event's
Yeah,
up there, if they're coming to 4 sessions a week, they've heard it like 12, 15, 16 times. And it seems like a little thing, but we really kind of go like, guys, make
yeah,
sure, tell your
right,
semi-privates, tell your small groups, tell your team training. Let's tell it every day. Let's say it every day. Let's remind, right? So it starts there. Then I would also obviously or just organically
right.
on all social media channels post about it, right? And again, having some frequency and not overkill. You can do it more in stories, less kind of like on your main profiles and whatnot. But again, I would go probably if it's a big one, I'd start 3 weeks out. This is what I was saying about preparation. I'd start 3 weeks out. 3 weeks out, I'd send an email and I would
Right.
just create a buzz about it. I wouldn't do any details. It might even be in a PS, right? In the PS, it'd be like, hey, 3 weeks from now, we're doing this amazing charity event. We're gonna have a DJ, raffles. We're giving away over $10,000 worth in prizes. We're gonna have some local vendors here. Stay tuned, right? And then another week from there, now we're gonna start giving details. So we're 2 weeks out. We'll actually give the details of what it is, right? And then the last week, we're probably gonna email out about 2 times to 3 times about that event. So because that's a list of not only our clients, but also all the people that have been interested, whether it was past leads or even past clients that they said, yep.
Right. Yeah, pass the lead
We
lists and
used
stuff like
to,
that. Are you creating
we
flyers to
still
put around
have
the
done for
neighborhood and
some of
things
the
like that?
bigger events. Like imagine that if there was a
Hmm.
like list of things to do, the bigger the event is, like the more of those things we'll do. So we don't do flyers now
Right.
every time, but if we're trying to do the Don Dada event, I mean, we're going all out. We'll do flyers, and what we'll do with the flyers is like we kind of keep a radius within just about a mile of our gym because we have the Chamber of Commerce. That's the other thing too. It is I kid you not, the Chamber of Commerce is 50 yards away from our door, so a pretty good location. So we do quite a bit of stuff with them, and I would recommend that too. Like if you're a small
Okay.
business, people say Chamber of Commerce is worthless, but it's not if you show up and you do things the right way, because they will email out for you. Like for instance, Chamber of Commerce, at least the rental one, has 800 small businesses. They had even more, but after COVID, it was less. So they're going to email out to 800 local businesses, and we've done a thing with them where we ask them just to email out if
Right.
they want to be involved with our charity event, right? Meaning, hey, do you want to set up like there's local businesses do little CBD stuff, teas. We've had chiropractors doing adjustments like in the front of the lobby for free. I mean, we've had the running shoe store, supplement company. I mean, you name it, right? And of course,
Right. So the Chamber of
correct. But
Commerce will
what you
invite
could do is
people
you
to
can ask them
participate
and
in
say
your
like,
event
hey,
on your behalf,
Vigor has a
basically.
couple more spots for vendors to post up in the lobby. There's gonna be hundreds of people there because that's the big one, right? Like, I'm gonna get you in front of hundreds of people complimentary service. And like they will email the chamber back like, hell yeah, like we definitely want to be there. And then they'll give me basically their contact information. I'll reach out to them based on what business it is. Because like for instance, like we'll have Fit Tracks, which is a meal delivery company. Cool, that makes sense, right? Because that we want meal delivery stuff. Or it'll be CBD massage bombs, Brill. Okay, cool. That's a good fit. So I'll reach out to them and be like, hey, yep, we still have a vendor. They'll set
Right.
up a booth just like you'd pay for a booth somewhere, but they don't pay for it. I just do it for them for free. So now, we had a plant store that like 3 big charity boot camps ago did $1,400 in like 3 hours. People buying fucking plants in our, really, really nice ones. But it was like they posted up and, the lady afterwards was like,
Yeah.
yo, we never would have thought that we'd come to like a fitness charity event and sell $1,400 of plants in like 3 hours. Now they're like, hey, we want to come back every time. But also, they're right down the street.
Yeah.
They love us, right? So you can,
Right.
this part is one that I did mention earlier, and I said I'll mention later. Get the businesses involved. Bring the coffee shop to do coffees, right? We have a fit bar inside of our lobby, but get a smoothie spot to come in. Do acai bowls. Get a massage person to do 10-minute massages, and like for them, it's phenomenal. Guess what they can do when they're there? Hey,
Right.
50% off your first thing, right? Like, so they'll bring it back to their business. It doesn't really cost us anything, but we're doing a big service for them. And those vendors will always give pretty big prizes for the raffles because we'll go like, hey, look, all we ask of you, right? If you come in and we give you this for 3 hours, you can hang out here. You don't have to pay anything, but hey, just give us a gift for the raffle, and that's going to get you a lead as well. So things like that you would be so blown
Right.
away that if you ask people to give you something and you tell them specifically what it's for and what charity and what you're doing and who you're supporting, the percentage of those people that will go, and it might be like, you know what, I can't come to it. Here's a $50 gift card. Like almost everybody will give you something, right? And the thing is, it's getting them a lead anyways.
So the final thing then
Okay.
is, how do you follow up with them? Right? How do you follow up with people that were at your event?
Well, I think that there's two things that you can do. Now, I will say that at certain charity events,
Yeah.
I've not pitched anything. I'm like, I don't want to pitch anything here, right? But here's what can work phenomenally well at the event. So let's say everybody's riled up. The event's like it's the end of charity boot camp. We brought it in. People are fired up. Like it's the best, group training session ever had. Say, listen, guys, one more thing. Usually our 30-day results in advance program, which is basically 30 days of training with us, risk ongoing anything. Usually it's $197. If you sign up today, it's $147. And every person that signs up, we're going to give 100% of that
Oh,
money
cool.
to this charity, right? So now you got 10 people that might be like, oh, shit, this is amazing. Fuck yeah, I'll sign up for that. Right? Boom, you've raised another $1,500 and you
Yep.
got 10 people that you can convert. So that would be step one, right? That would be step one. And I really do like that one because it's authentic and it plays in with what you're already doing, which is raising money, right? Then number two, when we collected the emails, and the thing is, we do two things. When a person comes in, we write it just in a little book because for accountants and charity purposes, we submit that to them, right? But like the person, their name,
Okay.
so their email and their phone number and what they donated, right? So we got that info. And then the thing is, and if it's a non-member, we do a
Mm,
quick, like short one sheet health history form
sure.
where we also get their phone and email number, right? And then 2 to 3 days after the charity event, they'd get an email, and the email would basically say, hey, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Because of you, we
Yep.
were able to raise, and then we share what we raised and what we've done. Couldn't have done it without you. So as a thank you, like what we want to do is give you 10 days of VIP training on us. Now that includes 2 semi-private sessions, and we can only our coaches can only take on so much. So here's the deal. It's like this is going to go on until Friday. So let us know by
Right.
Friday, because
So the
otherwise it's
email
going to get booked, right?
is
So and if it gets
celebration,
booked, like we just can't take
appreciation,
any more people.
gratitude, invite to some offer with a very distinct expiry date and reason for the expiry date, basically. Yeah. Love it.
Yep, exactly. So now you get two opportunities to follow up. One is like a, hey, take advantage of this. Not only will it be a great price for you, but also we're just going to give all two. And then the second one's like, hey, look what we did. We couldn't have done it without you. We want to thank
Right.
you, but here's a deadline because look, honestly, like we have four coaches and X Y Z
Yeah.
amount of spots, and
Which
like
is
we just can't
totally
take on more
reasonable.
people than that.
Luca, dude, this is fantastic. I love how we were able to just break down the different steps, even down to the follow up afterwards, and making an offer and doing it for the right reasons, right? But just because it's for charity doesn't mean it doesn't have to. It doesn't mean it can't also benefit your business, uh, and vice versa. So I look at this kind of stuff as a win for everybody, and I hope that anybody listening also listens to it and it's like, no, like there's no way that would not work for everybody involved.
I would actually, yeah, and I would actually challenge anybody that's listening here that hasn't done it, or even if you have done it, I would challenge you to create like a FOMO charity event in the coming months and give yourself a deadline, like make a commitment to it. Here's why, but here's the reason why I want you to do it. Like because I know exactly what's going to happen. Put effort into it, put focus in it, put intent into it. And the moment that you do it and it's over and it's a success, you will be hooked. Okay, you'll be addicted to it. And I mean that in the best of ways. Like you'll feel amazing for doing something for the community. You'll be like, holy shit, this was incredible. People will love it. You'll get more leads. And the thing is, and now you'll have enough of that motivation to go like, do it again and then again. Again. Look, what we're just doing is like this is going to grow your business and encourage you to give more
Yeah,
back to the community.
yeah.
It's a snowball
Wicked,
effect.
Luca. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.